Welcome to Community Watch. Today we're continuing our segment on election. Today we'll be talking about the District 52 state senator race. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this.
Your life is filled with opportunities to show the world you can take charge. It's waking up each day with a mission. It's working each day toward a goal. It's choosing to rise. It's charging forward with a purpose. It's changing the course of your life and taking charge of your future. If you're ready to be a Take Charger, enroll at Georgia Highlands College today.
Welcome to Community Watch. Greg,
Doc,
how are you?
I'm all right, brother, and yourself?
Good, I'm good. So we have a candidate to talk to today. I know you get excited about these shows.
Well, you know, we ask direct questions, and it's a response and question session. You can learn a lot about a candidate, you know, so I do look forward to these.
So today, as you referred to, we're talking about the state Senate race, District 52, and we're talking to Republican candidate Chuck Hufstetler, asking him, incumbent, yes. Mm-hmm. So we'll be asking him a few questions. In fact, why don't we go ahead to take our break and give the candidate as much time as possible. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
The color in my garden keeps the pink in my cheeks. I was very independent and thought I could take care of myself. I fell and I had to have Meals on Wheels. They're my savior. My name is Lola Silvestri. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Welcome back to Community Watch. We're very happy to have with us today Chuck Hufstetler, who is Republican incumbent for State Senate District 52. Happy to have you.
Great to be here. Sorry about the close, but I worked a little longer than I thought today, and it was either wear this or not be here. So
well, that's fine. We're glad you're here.
Mr. Hufstetler, what are your main motivations for running for this office?
Well, I had served 8 years on the county commission back, elected in 98 to 2006. We had cut the property taxes 6 times, paid off all the debt. The Rome Brave Stadium, which I was a negotiator and one in charge of building, one of 2 in charge of building it, was on time and under budget. I think that's the only public stadium in Georgia that can say that, and had a good financial record. And when this seat became open, some people talked to me about doing it. I'd been out of politics for 6 years and really thought I was done, and felt like I could make a difference, and I think I have down there. We have fully funded public education for the first time in history. 6 years ago, we started moving in that direction. We had the first tax cut in the income tax rate this year since it was put in 1934. And that went through my finance committee, and I was the one that initiated that. But at the same time, we've worked hard on incentives to bring companies here. As you know, the film industry is now a $9 billion industry in Georgia. Now agriculture is $71 billion, so it's not overtaking agriculture anytime soon, but it's a tremendous help. We've brought thousands of jobs here, high-tech paying jobs, and have the lowest unemployment in many years. We have consistently done this for the last 6 years. In Georgia, I would say under 2 very different presidents, we have found a way to make it work for us, you know, with what Washington gives us either way. And I've enjoyed being down there and I think making a difference for the state of Georgia.
Okay. What is the geographic area included in District 52?
Well, it's all of Floyd County. It's a little bit of Chattooga County, Lyerly Holland area over there. It's about half of Bartow County. It runs from Barnsley Gardens up over to the Lake Point area in Emerson. And then in Gordon County, it's basically the city of Calhoun and anything on our side of 75, the interstate. The other side is part of another Chuck's district. Chuck Payne out of Dalton has that area. So it's all of Floyd and parts of several other counties.
Okay. Do you know the general population of District 52 and the breakdown of that population by race and ethnicity?
I don't know the race and ethnicity. This district is set up to be about 180,000 citizens.
All right. Given the incidents of police brutality across the nation, particularly against people of color, what is the Georgia legislature doing, or what should it be doing to address this problem?
Well, I think Georgia addresses it in a variety of ways, and again, you've got a lot of local governments out there. But what we have done is tried to have an atmosphere of we want to make everybody better. Part of it has been our criminal justice reform that is getting people in education, getting them out of prison. When I first got there, we were going to have 2 prisons built. Instead, our population's gone down from about 58,000 to 54,000, the lowest number of black males in prison in many years. Showing respect, working on people to get them a job, I think helps with us. Now, we don't control every local police department, but I do think that our state employees, and particularly our state patrol, do a fine job of showing respect for everybody.
Okay.
Georgia job opportunities continue to increase, and yet we are ranked higher than we should be among the states in unemployment. We have available workers for the jobs, but they don't have the education and skill that employers need. How do we close this gap?
Well, that's a complicated question, but our unemployment is the lowest it's been in decades, really, here in the state. We've made great strides in that, and we've continued to drop it over the last 6 years. And with that, poverty has dropped. Poverty, when I started, was 19.2%. It's down to 14.7% now. That goes hand in hand. We do have about 100,000 jobs in the state right now that aren't filled. And we do have to get people qualified. This area took a big step in 2008 when it was one of the first 4 in Floyd County, I'm talking about in the district, to start the college and career academies, knowing that not everybody's going to get a Bachelor of Arts degree or needs to get one. We were one of the first 4 in the state. Those graduates make double what a typical high school graduate makes. There are now, and Bartow County and Cartersville City, and now Rome City starting one, and Gordon County and Calhoun all have them. So while they were originally concentrated in this area of the state, there's now 46 in the state. Those have proven well. In Noonan, we've actually got a German apprentice program, so they can graduate and be making money while they're in high school. They can have a German apprentice license. They can have an associate degree. And I think that's going to help us continue the trend of getting people out of poverty. Is a lot of kids don't, look and say, I'm going to go to college. But if they can do something like this and somebody says you can get a job making $40,000, $50,000 when you graduate from high school, they'll do that. And the way out of poverty in many cases is not just education, but they've got to have hope. They've got to realize that something's out there. Our universities are certainly excelling. We have funding them. And you look at our scores too from our schools. We now top the nation in ACT. I mean, it wasn't too long ago we were nowhere close to that. Our SAT scores, our public students this year for the first time beat the public students nationwide. Education is the biggest part of getting people ready for these jobs, but infrastructure is important. And with that, one of the key issues we're going to have to address is rural broadband. We've got several different mechanisms to hopefully make that happen that we're working with companies. But that's what's going to have the jobs. If you go to a community that don't have a hospital, they don't have education, they don't have technology, you can't send companies there. And so we've got to spread it out to all of Georgia, and that's the biggest task I think we've got in the next few years.
All right. Career advancement for teachers usually means a move into administrative positions. That trend means we lose our best and most experienced teachers in the classroom. What can be done to help teachers advance in their careers but remain in teaching?
Well, I know there are people that say there's too many administration and not enough teaching, and you're right. We see that in education. We see it in a lot of areas where people get promoted out of what they're excelling at. I know that while we lead the Southeast in public school teacher pay, we're looking at more incentives to put in there to keep them in that. And as far as education, I think we're also going to have to look at continuing to use technology to maybe have those teachers be able to reach a broader amount of students as well.
Both the economy and the stock market have done well over the last several years, yet the teacher retirement system, TRS, has performed poorly. As a result, the General Assembly allocated $223 million last fiscal year and $361 million this fiscal year to shore up TRS. The current situation is both detrimental to the state budget and to the future retirement prospect of Georgia educators. What can be done to improve the fiscal health of the TRS, considering that the TRS is struggling during such a bull market on Wall Street? Is it time to consider new management of the TRS?
Well, I think that the TRS had been struggling, but I think right now it's in good shape. And our projections this next year, and I know a little bit about this because I was chairman of retirement for 2 years before I was chairman of finance, and I'm still the vice chair of that. Quite frankly, during the recession, and as I said, I got out in 2006 from the county commission, was in the Senate till 2013. I missed the misery years in politics. But during that time, they were scrambling for money. Furlough days, cuts, retirement was part of that. And the fund wasn't as fully funded as it should have been during that time. Since then, you've seen as you said with the figures, we've had to put a tremendous amount of money in there. However, this year, we think we're only looking at needing $25 million. We're back above 80% funded of that retirement system, which a business would say that's fully funded if you're over 80% funded. You look at some of the states, Kentucky, I think they were down to about 16% funded. They're never going to catch up. Illinois, some other states have certainly had issues there. That's why we're one of a handful of states that have a AAA bond rating, is because we've got the highest reserve fund we've ever had. At the same time, we've taken care of those pension funds, and we've also taken care of people that tried to make changes to that. As the retirement chairman, I didn't allow any changes to that. That is really important to our teachers, that they may not make the greatest salary in the world, but they know they've got a great retirement system when they leave, and that's an incentive that needs to be there. So I know you've seen those big inputs the last couple of years, but we think that those days are over. However, the stock market goes up and down. For that reason, we actually only show 20% of a gain in a particular year, and then we phase it in each year. So you're seeing a blend of the last 5 years. So if you have a couple of good years, you're going to continue to see those gains. Part of the reason for that thinking is we don't want politicians to say, man, look at that, the stock market went way up this year, we've got extra money, and take it, because they don't want to put it in when the bad year comes. So probably not everybody knows that down there, but that's our system, is we only show 20% of the gains each year, and it helps level it out. But I do think that with the funding we've put back in, we've taken the cuts from the days when actually I guess the governor then was Sonny Perdue, and he was stuck with a really bad budget and was making some tough decisions in a lot of areas, but we've been able to shore that back up. And I can't predict the stock market, but I hope we'll continue on this path.
Thank you. We're going to take a quick break here, continue our conversation with Chuck Hufstetler, candidate for State Senate District 52. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you've smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Welcome back to Community Watch. We're having conversation with Chuck Hufstetler, who is a Republican incumbent candidate for State Senate District 52, and we'll continue our questions. The number of children in foster care in the state of Georgia has risen to over 14,000 in 2018. What steps do you think the state should take to reduce these numbers?
Well, we actually addressed this in some legislation this last year that I believe is going to be helpful. In addition, you know, in our community, we've got some efforts that some people are putting in almost full-time jobs in dealing with this because it's certainly a problem in this state. We've increased the payments. We've made it easier for relatives now to take over the care of children than it was in the past. There's no one step that's going to take care of all of this, but I think we're seeing some positive results. It is an issue. It goes along with you know, the addiction crisis that we have in our society. I think it's spiked up along with it. So that's one area. If we can make progress in that, then we'll indirectly help with foster children. But again, better funding for foster children was in this last year's budget, and easier access for relatives to take over in this situation. We've even got legislation now where people can award temporary custody themselves up to a year when they say, I'm not doing good, you know, will the grandmother or somebody take them over, and they can actually get help from the foster care system now when this happens, not just try to do it on their own.
All right. At least 7 rural hospitals in Georgia have closed since 2010. 9 Georgia counties have no doctor. Only Alabama, Delaware, Mississippi, and the District of Columbia have worse rates of infant mortality. And Georgia has the highest rate of maternal mortality in the country. Would expansion of Medicaid help Georgia residents with these and other health care issues?
I think it would, and that's why in 2014 I went up to the well and made a speech saying that while we may not agree with everything in the Affordable Care Act, that we should take that money and use it for our state. We have seen many other Republican states do this. Mike Pence, when he was governor of Indiana, did it. Seema Verna, who was his director that did that, is now in Washington and has loosened some of the requirements for that. But you know, I work in the operating room. I see people in there that are train wrecks that show up in the emergency room, and that's not how we need to get our care in the state. We need to take advantage of the federal funds there that match 90% and work on getting primary care for people. Now, that's not always going to be doctors. It may be nurse practitioners, it may be physician assistants in some of the rural communities. And we're spoiled in this community because we've got 2 great hospitals here in town. Bartow County, Gordon County have great hospitals. We're not in areas of the state that don't have that. But to me, it is a conservative item to say, let's treat people upstream in health care for pennies on the dollar, get their blood pressure under control, get their diabetes under control. If you don't, their kidneys are gonna go. They're gonna come and we're gonna do an operation and we're gonna put in a shunt so that they can get dialysis the rest of their life at thousands and thousands of dollars. So I look at it as a conservative issue, as moving health care upstream in a preventative mode. I was the only one in 2014 that said that. You can Google Chuck Hufstetler Medicaid expansion. You can watch my speech online still. It's about an 8-minute speech I did up front, and I said these hospitals were going to close. I'm in healthcare. I'm passionate about that, and I think that many others now are looking at it. I know our gubernatorial candidate has said that he's open to waivers. Mike Pence did a great job in Indiana. He put in, some requirements, but he also put in a health savings account, which it's not big, but they get it. But if they go to the emergency room instead of their primary care doctor, then they lose money out of their health savings account. So it's a little bit of a carrot for them to keep them going to primary care. He put in managed care operations up there too, which really those that run the managed care get a certain amount of money to take care of people, and they hound these people. You got to show up. You got to do this. We don't do that at the state. They send the bill and we pay it. And so a lot of these people need some help. We have put in millions of dollars extra for mental health care. And I do know from health care that a mental health patient has 5 times the physical health cost of a regular patient that doesn't have those mental issues, and that's tied in as well. But our model needs some work in this state. It needs some work in this country. We've got great care for some people. We've got other people that don't get the primary care that would save all of us a lot of money on the back end. And it's not just about saving money, it's about improving lives. And if we want to get the most out of people and have them pay taxes and be productive, we need them healthy, we need them educated. And I'll continue to push for that. I think you'll see something in this session.
Okay. Due to the growth in population of the Latino community in Georgia and across the nation, candidates for public office will need to seek out the Latino vote. Which of your positions on the issues would be of special interest to Latino voters? And in what other ways have you reached out to the Latino community in your district?
Well, in our district, I think we try to make good opportunities for everyone, and I think supporting public education has been a part of it. I remember when my daughter, who's now at college, was running cross country for Rome, and one of the guys that was on the team, the teacher actually bought him a pair of shoes because they didn't have running shoes, and so the need is out there. But I've seen those that can get into a college and career program and improve themselves, and I think that's the best way we can do this in our community is to lift everyone up. The immigration issue is a federal issue. We have people that sometimes get involved in it, the state issue, but ultimately they've got to do something to make it better. We actually, I think a lot of the cause of the problem was in the 90s when the economy was good like right now and unemployment was extremely low and we didn't bring in legal workers. Well, businesses brought them in. Businesses were complicit in this and bringing them in, and that's going to be a challenge, I think, in the next year or two, is making sure that we bring in more people, we allow more people to immigrate into this country so that they can fill those jobs that are there and not cause the chaos that comes from, the vacuum that gets sucked in from people that want a better life for themselves, and you can't blame them for that.
Estimates for the number of DACA students in Georgia vary, but all seem to agree this is significantly a large number. These are immigrants' youth who came to the United States when they were children. Most of these students know America and Georgia as their only home. Should DACA students be given an easier method of becoming legal residents? And should DACA students attending Georgia colleges be given in-state tuition?
I definitely think they need to be given an easier pathway for legalization in this country. There's some great students there. I remember there was a film from those in Arizona that actually won a competition up at MIT in robots. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that or not, but it's a great film on that. Again, this is a federal issue. We don't get to solve it, but the federal government should have solved this and made a pathway there. You don't want to just say you don't have to do anything. They need to have some skin in the game, because there's people that immigrate here legally that said, well, they don't need to get ahead of me. As far as the tuition, that's never been presented to us. It's a tough issue because you've got to you've got a kid from a neighboring state that says, well, I don't get in-state tuition. Should they get in-state tuition? At the same time, they're here. So I don't know that I've got the best answer on that, but we do need to help these students to be successful in our country. And I think if the federal government would quit fighting up there and come up with a solution, they could make it a lot easier on the states to do something.
All right. Georgia ranks 6th in the nation for marijuana possession arrests. Given the burden placed on our court system and the taxpayers of Georgia, would we not be better off to decriminalize possession of marijuana in small amounts?
I think that we need to make sure that nobody goes to prison for simply marijuana possession. And in some areas, in Atlanta, I think now it's a $75 fine. At the same time, I do worry about straight out legalization. I know that the high school students in Colorado use it at an 81% higher rate than the national average. And so that troubles me a little bit too, because that's usually the age when it does have some effect on some neurological issues and synapses increasing and stuff like that. So I'm not advocating complete legalization, but I would be supportive of decriminalization so that we make sure that nobody that's just simply a user goes to prison for this. That's probably the best I can explain it.
Okay.
And I don't think we have a lot of time for this question, but African Americans in Georgia are 3.7 times likely to be arrested for marijuana as whites. How do you explain this disparity?
I can't explain it, and it's not right. I don't think they use it at 3.7 times the higher rate. You know, I think sometimes it's a charge with other charges, you know, that maybe they get caught up in, but there is inequalities out there. And I think that, you know, if we look at more of a decriminalization of it, then maybe some of this will go away. But it's not going to fix everything. It's not going to fix every local department out there.
Well, thank you for being with us, Chuck Hufstetler, who is the incumbent state senator, Republican for District 52. We will be right back after this. Don't go away.
Your life is filled with opportunities to show the world you can take charge. It's waking up each day with a mission. It's working each day toward a goal. It's choosing to rise. It's charging forward with a purpose. It's changing the course of your life and taking charge of your future. If you're ready to be a Take Charger, enroll at Georgia Highlands College today.
Welcome back to Community Watch. We've been talking with Chuck Hufstetler, Republican incumbent candidate for State Senate District 52. We have also talked to his opponent, Evan Ross, so look for that program. Early voting is going on now through Friday, November 2nd, and Election Day is Tuesday the 6th, so do not forget to vote. Make sure you vote. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you next time on Community Watch. Bye now.